This is a story of a bad dad moment. First, let me set the scene with the main character. This is my son. His name is Asher John, and I'm gonna read something I wrote about his name the day he was born, just hours before meeting him. In the book of Genesis, Asher was Jacob's 8th son, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. He was the second son of Zilpah, the servant of Leah, one of Jacob's wives. A little messy, but I'm gonna keep going. 8 is a number of new beginnings. It is the new first, like an octave in music or days of the week. 2 is a number representing a faithful witness. Putting those two numbers together, you can come to a meaning of a witness of a new beginning. And this is truly what Asher was for us. After the pain of loss from miscarrying between Jovi and Asher, his name carries with it a sign of hope. Now, the actual name Asher also means happy or blessing. With all the uncertainty brought about by the miscarriage, a simple feeling of happiness means so much more with this boy's life. John is a family name. My middle name, my dad's middle name, and my grandfather's name. Passed down from my father to me was a strong ethic of honesty and hard work. My hope is that with the name, this is passed to my son as well. Similarly, of John the Baptist, Jesus said, "Among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist." I pray my son would live a life to leave this type of legacy. So, now that we've set the stage with our main character, my son, Asher, let me introduce the problem. Enter bad dad moment. So, I make a lot of videos that circulate around the internet, most of which are for other clients. But from time to time, I'll film something for fun and put it out on my own. And my children love to pull up my little YouTube channel to watch these videos and relive fun little memories and adventures that we've had. So one of these evenings where they're clicking on old videos, they pull up the one from when our youngest, Augie, was born. Then they make their way to the video of when Everly was born. Then they scroll way back to the one I made about the first few months of Jovi's life. And of course, the natural next question from Asher is, "Dad, can we watch mine now?" Well, no, buddy, sorry. We can't. There isn't one. Big dad fail. So, to make right on that, here it is, 9 years late. I'm gonna read most of this, so don't worry about my eyes. The day Asher was born, I had my camera there like all the other births, and surely everything was going to go as planned, and I'll shoot some video, and at some point I'll throw it together, and we'll have a little video about the day. Unfortunately, everything didn't go according to plan that day. This was the second time we were in the hospital to deliver a baby, so I'm somewhat familiar with what's about to go down. I'm gonna spend some hours trying to do whatever I can to keep Jill as comfortable as possible, and then there's going to come a moment where the pain intensifies. She says it's go time, the intensity peaks, and then the cries of our new baby boy will signal that we've successfully brought this new life earthside. And almost all of that was true, even up to the point where I could see his big round head. But in a sudden turn of events, the disposition of all the nurses in the room had changed. They went from lovingly supporting and encouraging Jill through one of the most painful moments of her life to realizing they had a new job. Their job changed from supporting Jill to actively fighting for this child's life. They told Jill to stop pushing. Asher had gotten stuck. We were already in one of those moments you'll never forget, where it feels like everything is happening in slow motion, and somehow it amplified further to feeling like time was standing still. And you'd swear each passing second felt like a minute. I watched one of the nurses get up onto the bed with Jill to try to manually manipulate Asher's position for him to be able to be delivered with the least amount of repercussions to him or to Jill. They were able to do that. His entire body was removed from my wife's, and had you been watching this scene without sound, it would appear it was mission accomplished. But imagine you're watching a video without sound, and you start to increase the volume to fully engage in the scene to find out the volume was already up. There was no sound. Those cries of our little boy to signify the breath in his lungs couldn't be heard because they weren't there. So in those first few seconds of Asher's life, where he should have been placed into his mother's arms to comfort him after this traumatic transition, and I would grab my camera to have it documented forever, instead, I watched those nurses lift his silent body, quickly cut his ties from his mother, and get to work fighting to preserve his life. And I remember praying something along the lines of, "Lord, I don't know if I have the strength for this. I need you to provide." And I remember Jill asking me, "Is he breathing? I don't hear him. Is he okay?" And eerily similar to the feeling I had when we found out about the miscarriage, I felt like there was nothing I could do. I watched them lay him down in the little baby heater, stick something into his mouth, and what in reality was probably a matter of seconds that felt like an eternity, we heard the cry. He was okay. And at that point, I suppose it mostly went back to what you can normally expect. They weighed him, and I did eventually cut the excess umbilical cord. He was returned to his mother, and all was right in the world. We got some pictures, but for whatever reason, the thought of filming anything slipped my mind. As I reflect on that day, I've realized I really shouldn't have been surprised. This is exactly how God writes a story. He takes the people he loves into extremely uncomfortable circumstances, and at the moment you've realized success is out of your control, he provides. He led Abraham to the point of having the knife in his hand to sacrifice Isaac before providing a ram in his place. He led Israel out of Egypt up to the edge of the Red Sea, being closed in on by an army in pursuit before providing dry land for their escape. And what he wants to do is grow our faith in these moments and be able to say to us, "For now I know that you fear God." In those moments, the question really becomes, what kind of character am I going to be? When pressed up against the edge, will my faith crumble? Or will I be able to trust the sovereignty of my loving Father? And those stories end up being much better than the ones that I would come up with on my own. So that has certainly been added to my prayers for my son, that he would be a righteous man, bold as a lion. And under the pressure this life will force upon him, up unto the edge of imminent danger, when the Lord calls, "Asher, Asher," he would say, "Here I am." And I pray that I would be that type of man who he can look to and imitate. But for now, all I have left to say is happy golden 9th birthday, Asher. I love you, son. I am proud of the man you're becoming, and I look forward to seeing you continue to be transformed more and more into the image of God. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory